Rapper and music executive, perhaps being linked to a sex trafficking investigation.
Here that we're getting this information from. We were actually the first ones here with about 30 different law enforcement vehicles at least. There are 3 Bearcats on scene here. This just all unfolded, Sandra, I would say, less than 10 minutes ago. We got here even before the crime scene tape came up. So we're just down the hill. If you look up the street where Tony is right now to the right, you'll see one of those Bearcats and law enforcement. And on the other side of those bushes, basically, is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No News is News. I'm your host, Alex R. Wagner, and this week, it's black pedophiles versus white pedophiles. P Diddy versus Nickelodeon. What's in your algorithm? Let's find out. Woo! Yay! That was the clip for the people that are just watching the talks and they don't even watch the podcasts. But for you podcast people, hide. It's time to hide. It's time to find the solution, not the final solution. Maybe it is a final solution, but it's not the final solution. Don't go looking up the final solution thinking we're doing that. We're here for a solution. And the solution to the problem is people not listening to podcasts, just watching them on the TikToks. And so they don't get cool stuff like this. But, I might put this one out there as a TikTok, but maybe I won't. But today, I got some weird news to share with you all. So there's this documentary, Quiet On Set Nickelodeon, pedophiles everywhere, or I guess Dan Schneider. The first time I heard Dan Schneider's name was in a song called Dan Schneider by Pink Guy, and this was 8 years ago, something like that. And he's a comedic rapper. And it's all about how this, he's doing a joke about how, he wants all these, preteen ladies with, big boobs back, and that Dan Schneider should bring them back. So Dan Schneider's always been, considered or looked at as a pervert in the industry. So it's, really interesting to, be like, oh, wow, we just discovered this. That's sort of like P Diddy, though. Oh, wow, we just discovered this. Remember Cat Williams on Club Shay Shay? And I'm not going to show you the actual clip. I'm going to show you these two girls who do the greatest impersonations of black culture out there, period. This is incredible. Check out them Cat Williams and talking about the P Diddy. Remember,
just protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P Diddy be wanting to party. And you got to tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
And then here's Pink Guy talking about freaking Dan Schneider years ago.
Dan Schneider. Bring all my bitches back. I need all my bitches. I need all my bitches. The new shit you put out is whack. Dan Schneider. I'm just trying to get an erection, but now that these kids look at 13 and under, my penis will suffer. Dan fucking Schneider. Schneider. This ain't a fucking gay bitch. I wanna watch a sitcom with my hand on my dick. I wanna see a titty, not fucking kid shit. Return all the hot chicks, or you gon' get it, bitch.
And this is what happens every time. Louis C.K. did his whole bit on masturbating in front of people, and then 3 years later, everybody's like, "What? He does this?" This is exactly what happens every time. We already know what's going on at P Diddy's parties. We already know what's going on at Disney Channel. But here's my little personal anecdote about the Quiet On Set documentary that I still have not been able to watch because it kind of disgusts me. But I had a run-in with one of the actual pedophiles on that documentary. Not the gay one, not the one that was diddling Mr. Drake Bell, but the assistant who is sending masturbation videos to other children that were working. After being kicked off the Disney Channel, his name is Jason Handy. And Jason Handy was getting handsy. What an unfortunate name or maybe fortunate name based on his brand. I'm not really sure. But I met this guy on a Disney Channel pilot in 2004 that I was working on. And he toured us around a facility, or not a facility. He toured us around like downtown LA area. We went to a bowling alley, had some cheese fries. He was the older talent manager, and we were all children, ages 13 to 15, 16 years old. We were treated like adults by him and by the rest of the people that were around. We were allowed to just go out with him and hang out, and he was going to show us LA. At the end of the night, he asked us if we wanted to go to a bar. We said no, because we're 15. And then he said, well, you know where the other places that I can get you in. And we started walking down the street, and he brought us into a gay porn shop. And that was really weird and alarming. And there were two of my friends at the time with me. And I mean, nothing happened to me because I just left. And then I was like, wow, that was really gay. Let's not do that. And I mean, I'm not going to name names of these other people that were involved, but one of those three was led down a rabbit hole by Mr. Jason Handy for quite some time. And then I come to find out that after this documentary in the revelations of what Disney Channel was doing or getting Dan Schneider, which Dan Schneider never really did anything. It was the people underneath that were really actually getting at people. I heard that he might have done some stuff with Amanda Bynes, but again, that's alleged because there's no actual victims. But as for Jason Handy, there are many victims, many people, including myself, that will speak directly to this weirdo guy. And he only got 6 years in 2010, and then he was let back out. And they found massive troves of child porn on his computer. They found all of this different emails and direct correlations with underage minors and sexual situations, but yet still somehow the man pulled off 6 years, is out of jail as of 2016, roaming the streets, probably working for another talent agency like he was in 2004 when I met him. So watch out, all right? Pedophiles aren't all built the same, but pedophiles are all the same. They're fucking creepy weirdos. And P Diddy. On to P Diddy. Mr. P to the Diddy. I mean, when you say P Diddy, it's kind of like almost like a penis innuendo. Dude's a little weird. Saw a TikTok. I'm not sure if it was like altered or fake or if it was just like a parody joke, but it was what looked to seem to be a 14 or 15-year-old white girl who has parents being held hostage on a videotape talking about how she was being adopted by Diddy. And after watching that, it was so bizarre. I was like, this has to be fake. But then like 2 days later, the FBI raids Diddy in the Diddy farm. But I don't know. It's funny how now I'm seeing on the internet, people are like, yeah, that's right. Let's talk about Diddy. And I'm not supporting what Diddy did, but remember, don't keep the eye off the prize. Dan Schneider. And it's like, Dan Schneider was just fucking weird and like filmed girls' feet. And also like, there's a lot of America that wanted to see Zoe 101 for a different reason. I remember when I was 14 or 15 watching those shows, like the only thing that I did watching Zoe 101 was learn how to search Jamie Lynn Spears' name and then like nipple slip, paparazzi, titty, vag, whoop slip, upskirt, candid. Give me those photos. That was me as a young boy. But also it was like, this is around the same exact time that Britney Spears and Lindsey Lohan and Paris Hilton were all showing their vages right outside of cars and continuing to do so, being like, whoops, that's a violation of my privacy. But also, here's my vagina. And now it's like the number one thing in Hollywood is my vagina coming out of this car. So during that culture of vaginas coming out of cars, people shaving heads, all that weird shit, we had Dan Schneider. And now we're like, oh, this guy's icky and weird. Like, yeah, the guy was fucking weird, but he was selling America what America wanted to see. And yeah, so that's my little rant on the pedophiles on Pedophiles Island and P Diddy and the diddlers of yesteryear. Hope all of the people that are fucking children that they get what they deserve, which is probably like to not be able to fuck children anymore and to like actually be in prison. But then again, like Jason Handy, direct, straight, right there, and no recourse. So leaves me little hope for the future when it comes to sexual assault. That's a sexual assault victim. Now that we're done talking about pedophiles, on to the big news of the week in the politics sphere. We have our first VP candidate. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to announce his VP. Is it going to be Jesse Mandela? Is it going to be Tyson Fury? Is it going to be some kind of celebrity macho American person? No. It is a Silicon Valley woman that's really smart.
The daughter of immigrants who overcame every daunting obstacle and went on to achieve the highest levels of the American dream. So that is why I'm so proud to introduce to you the next Vice President of the United States, my fellow lawyer, a brilliant scientist, technologist, a fierce warrior mom, Nicole Shanahan.
Okay, so why would he pick somebody we don't know? Oh, because she's a billionaire? Oh, because she bought him a Super Bowl ad? Wow. This is the new American dream, people. You have an old leader fighting man here who is a good speaker, and he's being supported by the lady who has all the money. So modern day relationship is RFK and this VP choice. All right, now we got this bridge that collapsed and fell over. So here's the deal with the bridge. From what I've heard is that this boat is bigger than the Titanic. The bridge took years to build and is like the third largest bridge in the entire world. And the boat lost power, started slowly floating towards the bridge, knowing that it was most likely going to hit it. And there was a 911 call where they were discussing how they were going to get all of the cars off the bridge and redirect the traffic, but that somebody should tell the foreman of these people that are working on the bridge because they should, probably evacuate. Guess what? They didn't evacuate the freaking working crew. So 6 people died. They only found 2 bodies so far. 4 of them are still missing. And bridge collapsed. So check it out. Just folds over in a matter of seconds, and that we're going to take now a lot of time to rebuild this. It's really interesting. We're always talking about like nuclear bomb will take out an entire city in like 5 seconds. Yeah. Or a ship named Dolly will just run into a bridge at 2 miles an hour, and that'll do just as much damage for the next 5 years. First up, we got the president, and the president's going to talk about what he's going to do with the bridge.
At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware on a train or by car. I've been in Baltimore Harbor many times. And The bridge collapsed, sending several people in vehicles into the water, into the river.
Joe Biden is covering his tracks as quick as humanly possible because he's got an election to win. Maybe that $25 million fundraising activity could fund the bridge building. Or whatever. All right, next we got the Pete Buttigieg, and this is the first time he's going to actually have to like do some work. So let's see what he's got to say. When are we going to fix this bridge?
What was the middle question?
Ballpark it when the port will be reopened.
Reopening the port is a different matter from rebuilding the bridge. The port, that's just a matter of clearing the channel. Still no simple thing, but I would expect that can happen on a much quicker timeline than the full reconstruction of the bridge.
So can you ballpark it just a little?
As you can imagine, I'm asking our teams the same question, but I don't want to put something out just yet.
Weeks, months, years?
We just got to keep going.
I understand, but just give us something there.
As soon as we have something, I'll tell you.
So, while I do believe that Pete Buttigieg is ready to answer questions, he doesn't really have very many answers as to the questions being asked. All right, enough from the White House. Let's hear from the governor of Maryland about this bridge collapse.
We are still investigating what happened, but we are quickly gathering details. The preliminary investigation points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack.
I didn't know that terrorism was an option, but now that you've mentioned it, sir, I'm starting to question whether this was a terrorist incident or not. Maybe it was. Maybe it was a terrorist incident. Where are these people from? They're from the Philippines? You sure they're not Chinese? Chinese nationals trying to run into our bridge at 4 miles an hour while their ship shuts down or whatever? Make China pay for the bridge. I say. But the real reason that we looked at the governor of Maryland is so that we can look at Baltimore's mayor and how Baltimore's mayor responds to a bridge collapsing in a city.
Allow you, Mayor Scott, if you choose to do so, to respond to the tomfoolery and attacks on you for having the nerve to be black and also a mayor.
Well, I think, listen, I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them. Because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk. And they should be afraid because that's my purpose in life.
Okay, so everything is about race, even a bridge collapsing, and you're the mayor of the city. I guess. How is everything about race? Joy Reid's thing is like, everything is racist. Everything is racist when you listen to me. Everything is racist when you party with Baltimore mayors. But with all that bridge collapsing and stuff, when will Joe Biden visit the bridge?
On when the president would go to Baltimore? I don't have an update for you. Obviously, we want to do it when it is the appropriate time on the ground. We're going to continue to have conversations with obviously local officials on the ground to get a sense of what their needs are. But we want to make sure that we do not disrupt their efforts. You just heard from the Secretary and the Vice Admiral. This is a major undertaking, and so we don't want to get in the way. But you heard from the president. He wants to get there as quickly as he can.
They don't know when he's going to visit the bridge. Okay, here. Isn't like Baltimore like literally like 3 minutes away from DC? When I would do the drive from like Florida to New York or New York to Florida, I forgot. Like, because it'd just be like, oh, here's DC. oh, we're in Baltimore, hurry. And it's like, oh, Delaware, here we go. So like for all the trains and the cars and the transportation of Mr. Joe Biden, I think a nice little delicate jog may send him up to Baltimore. It's not that far away to be to be acting. I mean, the border is one thing because like that's halfway across the country, and it's like, oh, I got to get on the plane and do the whole thing. But like this, like you can walk. You can literally walk to Baltimore from DC. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. If you can't, and I'm lying, then I'm lying. But I would say anything under 100 miles, you could walk. You technically could walk. Joe Biden, visit the hunk of metal in the water so that we know you care. Now that we've done all of the Joe Biden and the bridge and the collapsing, and I don't think that Trump even cares about the bridge. I think he wants the Chinese to pay for the bridge. I don't know. He's going to wait until there's like a controversy with the bridge and then he'll point it out. He'll be like, I knew there was a hole in the bridge the whole time. But right now he's just like chilling. But there's some other controversy regarding a police officer getting shot in New York. Guess it's a big deal for the campaigns because here is Donald Trump looking like a mobster out of a 1950s movie, like a Don John. Mr. Don John Johnson, Donald Trump.
I want to thank Bruce and all of the people that have worked so hard to make this area beautiful and safe. And this is what happened. Is such a sad event, such a horrible thing. And it's happening all too often. And we're just not going to let it happen. We just can't. 21 times arrested, this thug. And the person in the car with him was arrested many times. And they don't learn because they don't respect. They're not given the respect. The police are the greatest people we have. There's nothing and there's nobody like them. And this should never happen.
Hard campaigns from Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump is at the funeral, then what's the White House response to this situation?
The death of the officer. Look, our hearts go out to this officer who tragically lost his life in the line of duty. We're also praying for his family during this difficult time, who now has an empty seat at their dinner table. President Biden is deeply grateful for the sacrifices police officers make to keep our community safe. This shooting is yet another painful reminder of the toll of gun violence, that what it's doing to inflict on families and our communities and our nation. And that's why the president signed more than 24 executive actions. That's why we're able to pass a bipartisan agreement to deal with the gun violence that we're seeing in this country. Obviously, more work needs to be done. We need Congress to continue to act on making sure that our communities are safe. Again, our hearts go out to this officer and his family. It's a difficult time for them.
The way that she answers, it's clear as day. She does not know the officer's name. She was just briefed on this 15 minutes ago when they found out that Donald Trump was in New York looking like a mobster, looking all cool and stuff. And so they're like, this officer and the thing and the officer and the thing and goodbye, because they have no idea. They have no idea. Somebody sent that through an AI generator and it came out into a black lady's voice on a, what is it? What do they call it again? They don't call it a podium. They call it a lectern. Yeah, her lectern. So there's that. Joe Biden is not only being defended by his press secretary, but also the press secretary of the Pentagon, or the Pentagon guy, or whatever, the John Kirby. As John Kirby lays out a campaign for president, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to see people that are supposed to be just doing jobs explaining how politics works. But here he is.
The administration still considering executive action on the border?
I don't have any announcements to make with respect to executive action. I would remind that this argument that the president hasn't taken executive action or is just not true. He has kept American troops down there at the border. He has worked as commander-in-chief with the government of Mexico to improve their ability to try to stem that flow and to go after fentanyl traffickers. I mean, it's not as if he hasn't, but there is a real limit. That what really needs to be done, if you really care about the border, and stemming the flow is additional resources. And the president can't just sign those into being. You got to have funding behind that. You have to have a checking account for that. And that comes from the power of the person. That comes from Capitol Hill.
Remember, it's all Donald Trump's fault, and there's nothing we can do about the border because you got to pass a bill. Remember that. We're going to all remember that now, right? They're going to say it to us. They're going to spend $25 million to say it to us 1 billion times over the next 6 months. But will we remember that, Joe Biden can't do anything about the border, but that Trump somehow could? Executive order. We learned about executive orders during COVID, and now they want us to forget all about them. But this border crisis has gotten kind of crazy, so I'm tired of looking at the United States for solutions. What does the president of Mexico have to say about this?
With the ear of the White House, President López Obrador proposed his fix, that the United States commit $20 billion a year to poor countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, lift sanctions on Venezuela, end the Cuban embargo, and legalize millions of law-abiding Mexicans living in the U.S.
If they don't do the things that you've said need to be done, then what?
The flow of migrants will continue.
Your critics have said what you're doing or what you're asking for to help secure the border is diplomatic blackmail. What do you say?
I'm speaking frankly. We have to say things as they are. And I always say what I feel. I always say what I think.
If they don't do those things, will you continue to help to secure the border?
Yes, because our relationship is very important. It is fundamental.
All right, so the solution from the president of Mexico is everybody lives in the United States now. We're all in the United States now. I mean, borders are a dated construct. Pretty soon we're all just going to have our little microchips and be able to go across countries as though they're, states. And then states will be dead and the United States will just be like some crazy ass shit. It's all conjoining. Or it'll become all like super separatist. It'll probably become super separatist first. Like we'll all live on like weird, isolated places. And then all of a sudden we'll be like, and now world war order because of like that stuff or whatever. I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. Here's Donald Trump paying over $100 million and walking out on the streets of New York and telling us about it.
So I greatly respect the decision of the appellate division, and I'll post either $175 million in cash or bonds or security or whatever is necessary very quickly within the 10 days. And I thank the appellate division for acting quickly. But Judge Engoron is a disgrace to this country, and this should not be allowed to happen. Thank you very much.
They thought that if they made him lose and then made him give them money, that he would somehow become less popular, but my dick is hard. A man on the street just paying $100 million like it's no big deal, being like, thank you, appeals court, goodbye. So remember when everybody said that like Donald Trump wasn't rich, but Donald Trump isn't rich. It's all fake money. Now he's literally paying hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees. Donald Trump looking like a badass paying all those fees from the crazy New York. But we're going to go down the corruption scandal now. Here's a bunch of people talking shit about Donald Trump. First, we got Mr. Shit Talker McGee, the guy that's up next in his next case, Michael Cohen. This man used to be a lawyer for Trump. Now he's a porn star advocate for Stormy Daniels. And yeah.
So, Michael, let's talk about what Donald Trump said today, that he will post his reduced amount of $175 million very quickly. What do you think? Can he do that?
Look, it's certainly a whole lot less than the $500 million that he was looking for, that he could not get, that his son Eric was crying on television, that this is something that nobody has ever had to do before. They were obviously unable to do it. Do I think that he can raise the $175 million? The answer is most probably. It's certainly, like I said, a lot less than the $500 million. There are things that he can do. You know, one of the things that I was saying earlier today is I wish that Tish James had reached out to me. I would show her exactly where the money is for the $500 million that she should have gone after a long time ago, instead of giving him the opportunity of 30 days to raise this bond.
Listening to this weasel, like, you know he's a weasel. Oh, man, it's just such a weasel. Little weasel. Little weasel Michael Cohen. You know that's what Trump... Like, Trump have a name for him? What's Michael Cohen's name? If it's not weasel... They fucked up. They fucked up. Should be weasel. You know what I hate more than anything? When I find out that people who I enjoy watching their comedy works or art, and then I find out that they're just a giant moron and dildo. Yeah. That's Larry David. He's going to go on the crazy train of Trump hysteria. Here you go.
So how much has the whole 2020 election and everything that has flowed from it pissed you off?
Oh, I mean, you can't go a day without thinking about what he's done to this country, because he's such a little baby that he's thrown 250 years of democracy out the window by not accepting the results of an... I mean, it's so crazy. He's such a sociopath. He's so insane. He just couldn't admit to losing. And we know he lost. He knows he lost. And look how he's fooled everybody. He's convinced all these people that he didn't lose. He's such a sick man. He's so sick. Anyway, no, it hasn't impacted me at all.
Larry David doing a promotion for the last episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Thank God, because I don't want to watch anything to do with that last season after listening to this old Jewish whiny little LA bitch complain about nothing. Oh, that wasn't funny? Neither was Larry David. Oh, that wasn't a joke? Larry David doesn't tell jokes either. So apparently we're all just fighting each other. And if he's going to be like sitting here crying about Trump, then I'll say it right now. Larry David's the biggest little bitch ever. Whiny ass little Jewish weasel. Jewy weasel. That's Larry David. Don't watch season 11 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just cut it off in season 5 and call it a day, because Jesus Christ, guys. Also, Jerry Seinfeld knows how to shut the fuck up. Why can't you? Just shut up. Nobody wants to hear your goddamn politics, man. Play your damn comedy show and shut up. I want to hear you complaining over not being able to get the keys out of the car or whatever. That Trump shit. Now that we just saw celebrities complaining about Donald Trump, and we saw people that used to work for Donald Trump complaining about Donald Trump, here are people trying to just become famous off of complaining about Donald Trump, talking about Donald Trump. Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney being fucking Liz Cheney.
I think there's no question, but that the numbers that we talked about earlier, when you see that many Republican voters expressing, an objection to voting to Donald Trump, to voting for Donald Trump, that tells you that people have taken his measure, and I'm certainly going to do everything that I can to make sure that people recognize, especially in swing states, the danger that he poses, and why investing him again with the power of the presidency would be an existential threat to the survival of the republic. So do you see?
Oh my God, he insurrected the government and now the whole thing is over. Then why did you quit? Why aren't you running right now? Why aren't you fighting for it? Why are you just taking the money and doing these stupid little fucking $1 million forums where they give you a $20,000 check to talk about nothing in front of no one so that I can play this clip on TikTok? Politics is so dumb. So dumb. Why do they give these people money? These little weasels. Lock them up. Lock up all the weasels. Lock them all up. But in case you forgot how a true president responds to the media, here's Donald Trump giving us a little taste of that old, reminiscent COVID media diss.
You mentioned the cash you had. You said on Friday it's something like $500 million. You intended to put some of that into the campaign. Now that the bond's been reduced, are you going to start putting money into your campaign? You haven't done that since 2016.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business. I mean, frankly, but I might do that. I have the option.
Just roasted the guy. To be honest, it's none of your business. Boo! Fire! Glasses come down. Ah, it's meme time. Meme time. Trump time. Today's episode's a little... It's not dry. It's just like half about a bridge falling over. It's... We've had a lot of popularity on this show over our Kamala Harris clips, mostly because she's crazy. So here's Kamala Harris visiting Puerto Rico or maybe the Dominican Republic. I don't know. Fucking some island. And she's going to clap to a song in Spanish. And then when they interpret the words, she's going to realize they're roasting her. They're asking her why the hell she came here.
Queremos saber, Kamala, que es lo que viniste a...
So 2 weeks ago, Kamala Harris said that they would lose the election on Sunday interviews with Meet the Press. Then the next week, she explained what a vice president does by saying that a vice president doesn't really do anything but just be vice president. And now she has traveled to countries to clap at people asking why she exists. It's an anomaly. I don't know. What will she do next? The adventures of Kamala Harris continue. All right, so this week we saw a lot of weasels, but there's no weasel that isn't more weaselly than the weasel of the weasels, Mr. Lindsey Graham, Senator Weasel himself. And he's going to go and meet Netanyahu. And if you thought that Lindsey Graham wasn't like a weasel and you've never seen him, like every time he goes on Fox News or any like Meet the Press, any interview show, any TV appearance, anything, even fucking C-SPAN, he's like, make sure to donate $1 to lindseygraham.com. Like, he's always on. He's like the sharper Republican version of Joe Biden. And if you didn't think he was a weasel, just watch this. It's just the interaction. You're like, ugh.
I'm happy to welcome a good friend of mine and a great friend of Israel, Senator Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you for your consistent support at all times and especially in these trying times.
Thank you. Well, this is my 5th visit, I think, since October the 7th. Mm-hmm. I'm here for a reason, to show support to you, my good friend, the elected leader of the state of Israel. I have known you for almost 30 years now. I met you through our good friend John McCain. And I'm here to tell you that I have your back and your country's back.
Good luck, Netanyahu. The only person that's supporting you is Lindsey Graham, a walking, talking mattress salesman from South Carolina. All right, our final little tidbit for today is Nancy Pelosi and the discovery on 60 Minutes that Nancy Pelosi was really upset when someone slowed down her talking so that it sounded like she was drunk. And they wanted her to remove it, but they said, nah.
Can we talk about a specific case? It's of Nancy Pelosi. It's a doctored tape where she looks drunk.
We want to give this president the opportunity to do something historic.
This was the video of then House Speaker Pelosi, posted to Facebook in 2019, slowed down to make it seem that she was slurring her words. Did it come down?
It did not.
Why?
Because it didn't violate the policies that they had.
So did she put pressure on the company to take it down?
She was definitely not pleased. She definitely
Is that a
wanted the
yes?
company, yes. And it really damaged the relationship that the company had with her.
It's interesting how everybody says that, like, the government is controlling the media, like, especially the social media, but the social media said no. But who was in charge of that one particular case of saying no? It's not a board of trustees. It's not like some higher up people. Just some guy at a seat being like, you know what? Actually, slowing down that video don't count. But it was like some other crazy person that worked at Facebook. They'd be like, that is crazy. That is such misinformation. We're going to remove that. So it's like hit or miss, completely nonsense. But I did find it very interesting that they're like, it hurt her relationship with us, which leads to the deeper, darker conspiracy that big tech is already way higher and way more control than the government. So, tinfoil hat conspiracy, Alex Jones versus the people on the HBO. What a gay documentary. I'm Alex R. Wagner, and this has been No News is News. I think this is going to be a really quick episode, but I don't really care because it's mostly about a bridge, and the bridge was fucking dumb, and wanted to get another episode out in March for y'all. But yeah, so that's it. That's it. Bunch of campaigning, bunch of bullshit, and I will see you in April, people. Goodbye.
I think it's just so far the fucking sky, you know?